All right, Vince, get in the frame.
All right.
What's going on, beautiful people? Check 1, 2. I think everything looks good. I'm going to switch to the YouTube studio view so we can see if any of you have any comments. All right. What's up, everyone? Welcome. Welcome to San Diego. We're here. This is it's been a minute since we've done an in-person, either around the VLA or deep corner back in the day. I think we did one after Ascension practice one time. Here's Todd, our cameraman, trying to get some behind the scenes for Vince.
Keeping me in line here. Yeah, no, I think the last time was out of Spire, maybe 2-3 years
Yeah,
ago.
that sounds right.
One of the 2021, I think it was. A long time ago. So
Long time ago.
Nice to be back live in person, and obviously great to be here at the West Division Cup here at San Diego Wave Volleyball Club. Rated the #1 club in juniors.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. They were awarded the #1 club in the country in juniors by whoever it was. If you're #1 in anything, that's a big deal. Yeah, I mean, they do everything so well. Girls, boys, and beach. They've got it all. They've got an awesome beach set up outside. We were just walking in for serve and pass before this, and all their girls and boys are still having Friday night practice, and now all of us VLA clowns get to walk in and steal the show for the weekend.
Yeah, really awesome. Actually, I got to run into Matt Olson, former AVP player, and he's actually running the beach club here.
Awesome.
And really cool to see him out here. I used to play with him. He was an old U of A alumni guy. He used to play out there, and I used to play with the U of A alumni team for a long time. And so really cool to see him out there. And another guy, actually, Mike Playcheck, if you're an AVP player, another really, really good beach player. And it's just really cool to see guys like that in a gym just watching their kids play volleyball and practice.
Awesome. So we're here in San Diego. We've got about 12 hours until the start of the West Division Cup. Tomorrow morning, bright and early, 8 a.m. Pacific. It's bright and early for us. It's actually pretty nice for the rest of the country.
Yeah,
but
nice and comfortable. I think that's 11 a.m. start
Eastern.
time.
That's pretty nice. Got a couple East Coast teams here this week. So if you watched our show that we did the other night on Wednesday, we kind of talked about, man, dude, it is so loud in here. It's crazy. We talked about kind of everything about the league coming into the 2024 season, but we told you all that we weren't going to dig into the West Cup on Wednesday's show because we're going to do it right now. We're going to tell you everything you need to know about the West Division Cup. But first and foremost, because we're here in the venue, I don't have anything to show you on the screen. I want you all to pull up the website right now. I want you all to pull up usavla.com. The link should be in the description. It's brand new. The website is brand newly redone this offseason. It looks phenomenal. And the West Division Cup event page has everything you need to know, at least about how the tournament works and how the schedule works. So refer to that all weekend long. It's going to be your best resource. And throughout the show, I think you should refer to it as well. But we've got 12 teams. We, of course, have the 2 West Division Tier 1 teams. And seeded in this order, it's the SoCal Rising Tide, who won this tournament last year, and the Phoenix Ascension. Yours truly, Vince. Then let me see if I can get this from memory. We've got 10 Tier 2 teams. In 3 pools. You can see this all on the website. Seed 3 overall is the Kentucky Unicorns.
Yep.
Seed 4 overall is the New York Lost Travelers.
Correct.
Seed 5 overall is the Dallas Dogs.
Dallas Dogs.
Okay. Seed 6 overall is the San Diego Wave.
San Diego Wave.
Seed 7 overall is the Chandler Team 9.
Team 9.
This
right
logo here, which is the Ascension franchise Tier 2 team. Right?
Correct. Yep.
This is where I might get lost.
No.
Seed 8 overall is it Valor?
Ooh, Phoenix Valor.
Phoenix Valor is 8 overall. Okay. Is 9 overall the Colorado Kingsmen?
Colorado Kingsmen.
Okay. 10 overall is probably the Nashvillans.
Nashvillans, yep.
Brand new to the league. They've already got like 11 points.
11 points.
It's their
already.
first cup tournament, which is awesome. Seed 11 is going to be the Seattle Riptide, right?
Seattle
And they're
Riptide
warming up
practicing
right behind us right there. And then seed 12 is the NorCal Tall Ones, Donnie Hui's guys.
Yep.
I got it. I got all of them.
You got it. It was all 12 right there.
So pool play, what we always do at these VLA Cup Series tournaments is we run bracket pools. So 14 bracket pool, just going to be 4 matches, like basically 2 semifinals, a final, and a third place. And so we'll be able to play only 4 matches per pool and rank it out 1 through 4. All this is on the website. But what's nice about this particular tournament is that all 4 teams from every pool, all 12 teams in the tournament, make the bracket. That's not the case at every tournament.
Correct, yeah. And it's actually a good opportunity for some guys to experiment a little bit with lineups in this kind of format, not feel the pressure to win immediately. So, I mean, yeah, it's a good setup for them, but also you're going to see a lot of different lineups between match 1 and match 2 for all these teams. and really it then becomes a test of their depth, and which is what the VLA is all about.
100%. That our tournament formats absolutely reward depth. You got to bring bodies, and I think like even Riptide behind us, it looks like they've got at least 11, 12, maybe 13 dudes, and like that is different from them what they've done in the past, and they're clearly learning. We talk a lot, and we'll talk about tomorrow and on Sunday, that these tournaments are a learning curve. It takes a couple tries to play big tournaments like this to really learn how to have success. Who to bring, how to manage the guys that you do bring, how to just handle your time, and you're playing a lot of matches, and just kind of how to attack all of that is not super easy your first tournament. However, 11 out of these 12 teams have played these before. I'm really curious about the Nashvilleans. We'll talk about them later, about how they're going to handle it being their first time. But the format, I think, it does this year, because everybody makes playoffs, it gives you a little bit of flexibility in pool play.
Yeah, I agree, and it is going to be interesting to see. And like you pointed out, Riptide, I remember in 2021, we saw them first round. They were ready to firing away on us, and they were a great team.
They played you guys first round.
They got a little burnt out by the end. I think they only had 8 players in the entire tournament. Now 14 players they got on their roster, and right there is that learning curve, getting a little bit more experience, getting some depth on the teams, and it makes for a lot of very interesting lineups, but it shows later in the tournaments who can prevail.
For sure.
We've seen it time and time again. Team Envy, a classic team that would bring in a lot of depth and ability to rest starters in semifinal matches. Chicago Iceman, another team that does a great job bringing a lot of depth, bringing 4 or 5 outside hitters.
Team LBC as well is good at this.
And so, it's just one of those things where, which team in the West Division is going to do it this year. All these teams look really good, really solid. There's not a whole lot of, there's no gimmies in this tournament at all.
Yeah, this might be, just looking at the teams, looking at the rosters, this might be the most competitive top-to-bottom Cup Series tournament we've ever had.
Oh, absolutely.
There are not very many teams that are in this tournament that I think have no chance of winning. I'd say in a lot of our tournaments, like last year's Central Cup is a good example. It was 20 teams. It was massive, and I'd say only 3, maybe 4 really had a chance of winning that tournament. Honestly, I think there might be 9 or 10 teams here that have a chance of winning, and it's going to be cool because all of them are going to get the same shot. Everyone makes it out of pools. We'll have 1 round of bracket play tomorrow afternoon, but then starting with the quarterfinals first thing Sunday morning, single elimination the rest of the way, and it's really anybody's tournament, and I think that's awesome.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's going to be interesting. I mean, obviously, we have knowledge of the rosters. Not everybody in the public does, but it's going to be interesting to see because only a handful of teams really are bringing in the exact same groups or majority of their same groups. I mean, a big one, Rising Tide, a lot of new faces, and we haven't seen them compete yet. So it's going to be interesting to see how the top team in the tournament fares with pretty much a brand new roster from what they had previously from last season. So
well, let's start there. Let's go team by team. Let's talk about the rosters a bit. Let's talk about their pool prognosis. And let's start with the Rising Tide. They're the 1 seed because they won this tournament last year. They did so very, very impressively. They had a lot of depth. This is basically a home game for them. Being from Orange County, those guys can just kind of drive down for the day and play good ball, and they ended up winning this tournament last year. But like you said, a lot of different guys. They let's see, I think Hunter Howell was the MVP of this tournament last year. I don't think we're going to see him. Austin Matautia and Joel Schneidmiller were the 2 starting outsides in the final. Both of them are overseas right now, so you're not going to see either of them. It's going to be just a lot of different characters for the Rising Tide, but this is Southern California volleyball. It's the best men's volleyball pocket in the country for a reason. They have a lot of talent to pull from. What are some notable names that stick out to you?
Right here, top of the list, Garrett Como.
That's enormous. Enormous pickup.
You don't pick up anyone better than that to participate on your team. Garrett Como has been all-tournament team in pretty much every event he's played in. He's won VLA Cups. There's nothing more you can say about this pickup other than you go out there and pick probably the best ball handler up in the entire tournament.
Instantly, Garrett Como out of the University of Hawaii, best libero in the tournament. I don't really think it's that close unless somebody shocks me.
Very much so, probably the VLA as well.
Yep, probably the best libero in the league. So Como's played for Team NV or previously Ruckus the past few years. He's, like you said, he's won VLA Cup tournaments. He's been in all tournament teams a million times. Expect to see just highlight reel play after highlight reel play. He is, I like to use the term difference-making liberos. He is a difference-making libero. 100%.
Yep.
So
also, you got there a big one that stands out to me also, Thomas Nelson.
Oh, I love that move.
Sport Connects right there.
Or Bay Area Dimes.
The Bay Area Dimes last year. And the guy's got Tier 1 experience, a fantastic outside libero. And again, there it is. The ball control between those two is going to be incredible. So right there you have maybe the best serve-receive combo in the entire tournament.
And Thomas can play bro or he can play left side. And that's so if you put Como and Nelson as 2 of your 3 receivers, like that's going to be a pretty sick unit to try and serve against. Kyler Presho is great pickup as well. He's a middle. It started at Stanford, then transferred to Hawaii. He's big. He's got great experience. Spencer Andrews is a setter that I actually really like. I played against him in college. He was an East Coast. He's a Virginia Tech club kid. Then went overseas to, I think he played the UK, played in Denmark, I think. Just a really rock solid, nothing like very flashy at the setter position, but never makes any mental mistakes and just locates a great ball and has a good float serve. So I like that pickup a lot, and I like the Nick Amato pickup a lot too. National championship middle from Long Beach State.
Yep, that's a fantastic pickup for them. And right there, I mean, you got so much talent out of a group that is brand new. 5 new players right there that makes up Rising Tide. And so, I mean, I think that right there makes them the team to kind of look out for right now.
Probably, and they've got a pool that's pretty manageable. Their first match is against the tall ones, the 1 versus the 12. I don't see a world where they lose that match, to be honest. But then their second game against the winner of Team 9 and San Diego Wave, that's going to be a really good one. Yeah. Whoever comes out of that. And a couple familiar names. You have Brandon Directo, who's the ultimate Swiss Army knife volleyball player. Play libero, he can set, he can play both pins. He does all sorts of crazy stuff when he plays outside hitter, which is incredible to watch. He's like 5'10", jumps out the gym. And then you have Troy Megorian on the right side, who played a good bit last year. Just a big, heavy arm dude that is not afraid to swing for the fences in literally any situation against any number of blockers in front of him. So familiar and a new flavor of the Rising Tide. Wouldn't be surprised at all if they won this tournament again.
Yeah, I think that they're the easy favorite in this one. I think that, especially with the talent pool that they're pulling up, they just have a lot of guys, and they all play together. They play well together. They're in the gym up at T Street all the time.
All the time.
This is just basically pulling guys from their gym and ready to go play a big tournament.
So let's move down the list. The other Tier 1 team, of course, is Vince's Phoenix Ascension. And I'm not going to say anything here. Take it away. What can we expect out of this year's, the 2024 Phoenix Ascension?
I think that we definitely brought a lot more depth this year than we previously had. Big pickup for us, Jeff Beck. Chris Beck.
Jeff Beck, the guitar
great
player?
Guitar player. We picked him up. The guy can shred.
Vince and I are both guitar players. That joke definitely lands.
You hear Beck. The guy's Beck. No, Chris Beck, awesome opposite attacker, very comparable to Brian Lewis, 6'4" lefty, just graduated from ACU. He, at one point during, I think he was at 22 or 23 points a match, scoring-wise for ACU last year. The guy could play. I mean,
that's outrageous.
They had a run where they beat Menlo, Ottawa University. They beat Masters. They were insane at the end of the year. Unfortunately, they didn't make the NAIA playoffs, but it was 100% because of this guy. No offense to the rest of his team, but this is the guy.
Chris Beck.
Chris Beck. So look out for him. But we bring a lot of the same faces out here. I mean, we got first team all VLA, Jonathan Bishop. We've got he didn't want to say anything. I thought he wanted to say something about Bishop. I wouldn't be surprised. But we got Jonathan Bishop. We've got second team all VLA, Brian Lewis, just the staple of Phoenix Ascension volleyball, and then Zach Melcher as well, first team or second team all VLA last year. And so we have a lot of the same faces that you've seen with Ascension, but the big new ones, Jack Call, outside hitter out of University of Arizona. And
Mike.
Oh yeah, I got you. And then another big pickup for us, Troy Cates. He's been in the VLA for a long time. You probably recognize him from any of the 630 brands, whether it's Buddy Bears or Slunkers. But no, we're happy to have him in Arizona, and he's going to be a big part for us moving forward as well.
Yeah, Troy's an awesome piece of middle blocker depth who's played a bunch of VLA before and moves to Arizona, right to Vince's backyard, and gets scooped up for a Tier 1 roster. So love that move. Sam Haggard is here. Of course, you got both the opposites like you mentioned. Bishop might be the best middle in this tournament, depending on who else shows up. But so you guys have, let's see, you guys have Seattle first.
We have Seattle first, yep.
Then the winner of Dogs and Valor.
Correct.
And your thoughts? I know Seattle is way better than they've ever been before. But and you were saying, speaking of lineup strategy, what's your lineup strategy going into pool play tomorrow?
Well, I mean, I'll just say it. Like, I have a lot of confidence in all of my guys. I'm bringing 14 guys. We've got basically we're going to run a 7. And my team doesn't know this. If you're watching, tune in now if you want to know what your lineup's going to be tomorrow and who should be here ready to play in that first round.
Yeah, spit it. Let's break some news.
But, yeah, no, so, I mean, we're going to go 7 and 7. I'm not going to give the full lineup right away. But we're going to play 2 teams basically in pool play and just kind of see how it goes, see who's feeling it, who's not. And we're going to roll with it. And I'm confident that if our guys play the way I know that they can play, not to spit, we're going to the Super Bowl or anything, but I think that we're confident enough and we have the talent enough to where with this group we should be able to get 2 wins out of it.
Okay. Now, the thing about the format is even though everybody makes it out of pools, if you win your pool, you get a bye. Or if you take second in Pool C, there are 4 teams that get byes. But so that means you'd only have to play 2 matches tomorrow instead of 3. So there is that sort of dangling in front of everybody as far as prioritizing pool play. But there's also the fact that you're going to have to play 2, maybe 3 if you go to the final matches on Sunday as well that you're going to have to manage. So that's part of the learning curve we're talking about.
Yeah, exactly. And it's one of those things like, I mean, I feel like tomorrow, yeah, we could probably run one lineup, if we feel like we're confident in a starting group like that. But honestly, I feel good about both groups. I couldn't tell you. I think that going back and forth, I mean, they would probably, go to 9 in a best-of-9 match. So so I'm pretty confident in what we got right there. And so, they got to get out here and prove it in the tournament.
All right, let's move on down the list. The number 3 seed overall is the Kentucky Unicorns, our highest-ranked Tier 2 team in the field. We talked about them a little bit on the show the other night, but this team already has 64 points, and they've existed for just less than a year, which is outrageous. And they've got good VLA Cup experience. They've beaten at least 2, maybe even 3 Tier 1 teams at some point. Yep. They beat Swede last year. They beat Boston Bounce last year. They almost beat Team LVC. They beat Force at one point. They almost beat Team LVC in the East Cup final. So the Unicorns are very, very experienced, even though they haven't existed for that long. However, in my opinion, their best player is Corey Pieper, and he's overseas. Yep. So his brother Casey is here. They've got that brother outside hitter duo. But what do they do without their best out-of-system attacker is what I'm curious to see.
Yeah, they're still going to be so dynamic. I mean, it isn't just Corey winning these matches. I mean, they got great players. Let's see, we got Jake Lube, right? Yeah,
Jake Lube was all tournaments at the East Cup last year at the opposite spot.
Yep.
And then his brother's on the team too now, right?
Yeah,
Ben? Ben's
middle.
the middle, and they do kind of need some middle depth, so that works out pretty well. A lot of brothers on this Unicorns roster.
We're seeing that.
Michael Hickey, a very underrated libero as well. Keep your eye on him.
But he also received all-tournament honors.
He did.
At
East Division Cup last year.
So, I mean, right there, I mean, you got that kind of experience on a team, and the only other team with that kind of experience, other than, I mean, really the 2 Tier 1 teams.
That's kind of it.
I don't think even Ascension has that many all-tournament teams players on our roster. So, I mean, that's a really solid group right there, a lot of experience, and they're going to be very dangerous in this tournament.
Yeah, I'm a big Josh Daly fan as well. He was my teammate at Purdue. He was my understudy in the middle for a couple years back when I was athletic. But now he's like maybe 6'2", but jumps out the gym and can play with any middle in any tournament at any height. So keep your eye on him. I'm going to try and get him on the broadcast tomorrow during the all-day stream and have him I can have him tell the story about why he wears number 97. It's a pretty good story. So we'll get him to tell that one tomorrow.
All right, looking forward to hearing it.
Yeah. All right, let's move on. So the Unicorns in Pool C. The other highly seeded team in Pool C, number 4 overall, is the New York Lost Travelers. They were here last year as well. They flew all the way from Long Island or from New York City-ish and Came all the way out to San Diego. And
hey, if you're in New York right now, you know why the Lost Travelers came out to San Diego.
100%. You know why I flew out here too from Chicago. My goodness.
Todd definitely knows. He was in.
Todd knows.
He made a quick little stop out there. But yeah.
So the Lost Travelers play a lot. They, I think, last year were the only team in the league to play all 3 Division Cup tournaments, and I can't say I've ever seen them make a really deep run in a playoff at one of these events. But they'll beat a decent team here and there, and they kind of just rack up points based on quantity of events and matches played. Although they have new names like they do every year. One that I really like. Where's the big opposite?
Chris Huseman.
Oh yeah, so Huseman's a great pickup. Huseman has played for Team LBC for several years.
Yep.
But
Absolutely. We got another one right here, Brian Campbell. I actually used to coach him in high school.
Oh, no kidding.
San Jose State University. He's actually in the Ascension pipeline as well. But big 6'8" middle blocker, and he is a pretty dynamic player.
Oh dang! So they had an opposite named Blaine Fitzgerald on the roster, who I guess isn't going to be able to make the trip anymore. But he was a kid that I saw play for him last year, and I was really impressed by.
But again, you got a lot of the guys you'll recognize. Anson Webb, a longtime player, has been in the league for about 4 years now. Terrence Crossan, obviously the leader of the Lost Travelers, libero. So I mean, they've got a lot of returning players, a lot of guys with some experience, and like you said, they're a team that when they get the opportunity, they will beat teams.
Oh, for sure.
It's just I feel like they're just kind of due for that late run. They haven't done it yet. Maybe I think that they're usually maybe a second round. They get out of pool play or out of the play-in match.
They'll get knocked out of a play-in match.
Yeah. So if they can make something happen here, their seed helps them a lot. If they can get to that position where they're playing maybe a 4 seed or something like that in the play-in, maybe they get some momentum and they can actually make an upset here.
Love it. I think that's a good assessment. Their seed is their biggest asset at this tournament, just because they've played so much that they're. And the nice thing about the pool that they're in is if you win your first game and you get to the first versus second place match in the pool, you get a bye out of Pool C only.
Yep.
So that's a big advantage to look at for those first matches in Pool C tomorrow morning.
Yep. Absolutely. So moving on, Dallas Dogs. This is a big one right here.
Oh yeah. Really,
really good team. One of the teams I think has the best chance of earning that Tier 1 bid out of the West Division. And these guys, we're no strangers to them. You got Tim Johnson, Daniel Jacobs.
Tim Johnson is a monster.
He arguably one of the best opposites in this side of the Mississippi.
Yeah, and just a walking highlight reel.
Yeah.
The dude will. What we like to say, you gotta hit hard to get blocked hard. Sometimes he will bounce balls the likes of which you've never seen, and sometimes when he tries to bounce a ball and a blocker comes and gets him, it's a stuff block the likes of which you've never seen. Makes it must watch when he's on the court. Isaiah Afaji is very similar on the outside. He likes to bang balls low seam and create a lot of highlights. But you guys got a lot of experience with Dallas. You played him at this tournament last year. You played him at the VLA Cup last year. They have beaten really good teams. I think they've beaten Emiola like three times.
3-0 against Emiola is something no one's done.
Which is ridiculous. And they've got 23 points, and the target is 50.
Right.
How much of that can they chip away at this tournament? And it is going to be a huge storyline.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the thing is I believe that they can probably get 9, maybe even 12 this tournament. Depending on how they play against the Tier 1 teams, they get a really good shot. The thing here, though, you look at the numbers, and I'm counting 9 guys on their roster.
Yep.
That is their biggest crutch, is that they run out of steam late in tournaments. It's really hard for them to really make it to that semifinal, which would really get them over the hump with these points. And if they can figure that part out, I think that's what would separate them and really give them that chance. But still, looking at this lineup, they're deadly. They can beat anyone in this tournament.
Yeah, Shane Beamer's very good in the middle. Sam Schuldenberg at libero, very underrated. I really like his game a lot. And then Johnson, Afaji, and Jacobs on the wings. Like that's a very, very good wing trio right there. And then Jacobs can play both sides.
Yeah, absolutely. He's very dynamic. Matt Gagner also very underrated middle.
Oh,
the guy can move. The guy can.
He was here a few minutes ago.
Yeah, he was here practicing with Kingsman. But yeah, another guy. A lot of good personality on the court. Brings his team up a lot. And he's a guy that you just don't really. you love the guy off the court, you hate the guy on the court, playing against him.
Love players like that.
You know, he's got that mental game that he's got on a lot of guys, and he's a really good player, really fun to watch. So this is going to be a good squad. Very, very dangerous pool with Ascension and Dallas Dogs in 1 and 2. So
for sure. So let's see, number 6, the home team.
Yep.
The San Diego Wave. So I'm really interested in the San Diego Wave as well because, like we talked about on Wednesday, they've got 17 points right now. Dallas has 23. The race is to 50. We think that San Diego or Dallas has the best chance to grab promotion this year. Last year, at this tournament, playing in San Diego, it was the San Diego Wave's first tournament ever in the VLA. They won their pool and went undefeated on day 1. They beat Emiola. They beat, I think they beat Dallas in the final of their pool last year. I don't remember. But then they just did a little bit too much mixing and matching of their lineup when they got to the playoffs and got out a little bit early. But then they got even more experience playing that Tier 1 event last year in Long Beach. So, and then home court advantage, too. It couldn't be more convenient for San Diego to field all of their best possible players. So what do they got, like 15 guys?
They got 15 guys,
That's
and you know, the biggest name you got right here, one of the biggest names in the VLA is Sir John Nadazdan.
Oh.
I mean, you get a guy, an outside hitter like that, I mean, that really puts you in contention at any tournament. And so this really makes them a pretty strong team. They, as a 2 seed in a pool, I mean, this is not a team you really want to see.
No, that is a very, very scary 2 seed. Serge is insane. I mean, he's played for decades of adult men's volleyball in the U.S. long before the VLA, but has been on so many all-tournament teams on so many different rosters. Like he played – I'll hold this, Vince. I'll take it over for you. He played for Ascension for a bit. He played for Emiola, won a VLA Cup, was all-tournament at that event. Played for Wave a little bit at the end of last year, and Serge is just a monster who just loves to play and loves to hit high balls, and that'll help. I'm curious about their setters. They've got David Grandy, who is kind of a fan favorite, and they've also got this Connor Mortland kid who I know nothing about, but it says he's 6'6" from NYU, who's a good D3 program. So I'm curious to see that. And then what they don't have, at least what I don't see right now, is Scott Hartley, who was their best outside hitter all of last year.
Right.
And I'm surprised that in a San Diego event that he might not be able to make an appearance. So
maybe something with coaching or something like that.
Could
He
be.
actually was in the building just shortly ago, but yeah, I don't know. He's not on the roster, so he won't be playing this weekend. But again, you look at the guys that they have. You also got a Charles Belvin.
yeah, that's a nice
playing
pickup.
That's a great pickup
big
for them.
springy
I really
lefty.
like it.
And then Joe Guarnez is a really good libero as well.
Yeah.
I was really impressed with him last year.
Yeah. So you're looking at a really solid squad right here. And I tell you what, as we're going to move on to the next team right here, this team and
Team 9.
Team 9 is going to be probably the best first-round matchup.
That's going to be a must-watch game.
Yeah.
Must-watch.
Absolutely.
Team 9 versus Wave is going to be outrageous. So I'll preface Team 9, and then Vince can take it from there. Team 9 has existed for several years. They popped out in a 2021 event back in Phoenix, and we just kind of needed a team to fill in. And I thought, even being at that event, that was the last we were going to see of Team 9. I thought that they were just going to fill in for that event, and we were never going to see them again. Couldn't be more wrong. Now they are of all those Phoenix teams that we talked about the other night on the show, they are directly affiliated with the Ascension as the Tier 2 program. And because you guys had so many bodies trying out, Team 9 is good. And you and the Ascension management have stacked Team 9 with guys, and you'll tell us more about this, but it seems to me like you've put a bunch of guys on Team 9 who could be amazing Tier 1 players in 2 or 3 years, but I assume that like a guy like a Tyler Gardenhire or like a Brendan Hart, you want to give them a team to be the guy, and for Team 9, and to just go out and rip balls and be the starter and just go and try and win a tournament like this with youth and crazy athleticism. Does that sound about right?
That's 100% correct. I mean, it's tough to say it's a development team or something like that because these guys are developed. They're great players. Like you mentioned, Gardenhire and Brennan both have tons of VLA experience. Brennan Hart has been our starting opposite a handful of times for Ascension. But what we got here is just like that. It's hard to sit behind a Brian Lewis where Brian Lewis is going to play 4 matches in a tournament and you might only get 1 or 2. And so this is an opportunity for a guy like Brendan. We got a handful of other guys. Nate Mayfield, a big middle out of ACU. He's a solid player. You got Emery Uten, who's a fantastic outside hitter.
I'm excited to see him.
And he actually played on Team Novice last year, went to the Final Four of the VLA Cup. He was a starting outside hitter for them. And so, I mean, they have just a handful of guys that are really, really, I would like to say raw, but they've got the skill. They're there. And so I'm really excited to see how they play against a little bit more experienced team like Wave.
I'm so excited for that first round game because Team 9, in my opinion, is the biggest wild card in this tournament. They've got a ton of youth. They've got a lot of size, but they've got a lot of explosiveness. But I have no idea what it's going to look like when they all put it together. And Wave is a team that has been practicing a lot. They've been in this very gym just grinding and preparing for this season, trying to make a Tier 1 push. That is going to be a must-watch match. Yeah. Must-watch.
Absolutely. I mean, you're looking at 2 different sides of the spectrum. Experience versus the a little bit more raw talent, and definitely tune into that one.
All right, let's we can speed up a little bit through these next couple teams because I just don't know as much about them, at least about their current iteration rosters. Example number 1 is the Colorado Kingsmen. They've been playing a good bit since they came in last year, but I just don't know that many of the names on this roster other than AJ Nally, who apparently is a 6'5" libero now, even though he played outside hitter on the national team for a hot second.
Yeah, I wonder if that's just one of those things where he's just, I'll just come play some libero, or if he's going to come out here and surprise some people and just go, you know what, I'm going to take over. But he's actually one of the founders of the team, him and Brian Modzaleski, who both run the team. And honestly, they're my wild card right now for the West Division race. They play so often. They've had a tough run this year where they haven't really been able to get any points, even though they've traveled and played a lot of really good tournaments. They don't get a lot of the one-off tournaments like you get with Kong or Unicorns, where they're right next to each other and they can play each other all the time. Unicorns can just eat up those points against Kong.
Yeah, Colorado's got to travel a lot further to play
Colorado's
anybody.
got to travel a lot further. So, I'm saying a lot of that at the expense of Todd J., who's sitting right next to me. But, so these guys are really working hard to get those points. It's not coming as easy as it is for some of the teams, but they're going to get their opportunity this weekend. I like that they're going to have some matchups that will play positive for them. I'm excited to see what they do, and I think that they are the wild card in the West Division to really push a run together for that qualification.
Yeah, I agree. And I don't know this player, but there is Keaton Hanslick Green, a 6'10" middle from Pepperdine. If you see that information on a roster, your eyes perk up. So we'll see. We'll see about that one. Up next is the Phoenix Valor, who came out of nowhere last year and grabbed 3rd at this tournament. They beat the Bay Area Dimes in a crazy bracket game before losing to the Rising Tide. This is another one of those Phoenix area teams not affiliated with the Ascension program, but you guys play them all the time. So what are your thoughts on the Phoenix Valor?
Phoenix Valor is dangerous because they're one of those teams, if you play a team and you beat them 8 times in a row and they just keep coming back at you, that's a dangerous team.
100%.
Eventually they're going to get you. and so that is one of those things where when they get these opportunities, a lot of teams, Ascension sees them all the time, so we're used to some of their antics and some of their little wild plays and whatnot.
They do run some weird stuff.
Right, and that's one of the things. They try to bring that excitement to the game, and it makes them dangerous. If you sleep on them, they're going to beat you. So I mean, I think with them being in our pool, I mean, there's a good possibility one way or another. They could beat dogs. It just depends on how they approach it. But
it's possible. However, their one all-tournament player at this event last year, Taylor Galliano, is not here.
Right.
And he did everything for them. He lined up as a middle, but he could kind of play all 3 spots. Part of that sort of weird system that they ran, but they really used him in a lot of places. And without him, I'm curious to see what they look like.
Yeah, it's going to be pretty interesting to see how they do without him. He hasn't been playing in Arizona quite as much this fall, but the guys they got are solid, and they're just not a team you can sleep on. If you do, that's when you're going to lose.
Yep. Moving on to the team right behind us. Well, this isn't actually in order. Let's go kind of closer to the actual order. We'll go with the Nashvilleans next. They're the 10 seed overall. They are not warming up in here, are they?
No, they're not here, no.
So the only new team in this event, the only team that hasn't played a VLA Cup Series tournament before, flying in all the way from Nashville. They've got a bunch of bodies. I think they've got 15 guys. And coach or manager CJ Rilvaria has done a lot of work putting this team together this offseason. They did play a couple of the qualifiers, right?
Right. Yep. Yeah, they did qualified in the Central Division Cup.
Right,
They actually fell short in the East Division Cup, but there's a possibility that they may get in through points now that they are where they're at. They're playing well. They've beat good teams. They've beat the Unicorns. It's one of those things where their team, even though they're new, they've been playing together a little bit. You know, I mean, so it's one of those things where, I mean, you get a team that's been playing together for 6 months, as much as they have, they're going to be a dangerous team, and that's actually going to be a pretty scary first-round matchup too. You see two teams that have played each other twice, I think, this year with Unicorns
in
Villains.
the first round.
Unfortunate that Unicorns got to fly across the country just to play the Villains.
Yeah, I was making that joke to some of their guys.
Yeah, but I mean, it's one of those things. It's just how the seeding turns out, and they're going to see each other, and they're going to play, and it's going to be a great matchup. Yeah. But they're going to have a good tournament. They're going to rack up some points.
Yeah, I don't have that much more to say about the Villains because I haven't seen them yet, but I'm excited about that. I love seeing new teams because it's a wild card. It's interesting to see them, like, how quickly can they get their feet under them in a tournament like this. But I've really been impressed by their organization just from afar. I've been impressed with the activity and how they've really jumped in and embraced what the VLA has going on in just a couple months of existence. So I'm excited to see what that product looks like.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, 2 teams left. Let's go to the team right behind us who Vince has to worry about in the first round. That's the Seattle Riptide. Just like you said kind of earlier, Vince, so this is their 3rd West Division Cup. They've gotten better and better every time. I think the very first one they played, like you said, they brought 8 guys, ended up finishing, I think, dead last and got maybe 1 point out of it. Last year, a little bit better. Last year's VLA Cup, a little bit better. And now they're back with a bunch more bodies on the roster, a lot more firepower, a couple more setters. I am excited to see what this looks like, maybe at your expense in the first round.
You know, Chris Linke's doing a great job up there in Seattle for what he's got because there's yeah, I was going to say, I feel like I'm getting pushed over here. Am I on the screen still?
Yeah,
there I am. So, you know, Chris Linke's doing a great job up in Seattle. He's organizing the group up there. The issue with Seattle is very much like the Colorado group. There's nobody else near them. So it's tough for them to get the matches, get the points. This is not a team that should be 10th in a tournament. I think that they should probably be maybe a 7th, 6th seed, and that's kind of where they should be. However, they don't get these same opportunities that a lot of the other teams do. So they got to come to this tournament and they got to
make the most out of it.
Exactly. Yeah. They like Chris Linke told me right before they started warming up. They're here for this tournament for points.
Good. That's what I like to hear. I think if you had asked them that 2 years ago, they're like, okay, we're just here for experience or to have a good time. Not anymore. Their mindset has shifted, and they've taken what they've learned the last couple of years and are ready to apply it in a big way. I love that. It's exactly how we want it to go.
Yep, absolutely. What we got? Last one here.
Yep, tall ones. The tall ones are a fan favorite. Donnie Hui and the whole Elevate Yourself YouTube channel, social media network. They have an awesome following. They play a bunch of ball up in the Bay Area. They play against the Bay Area Dimes guys a lot. You see them on YouTube and social media all the time. Can they compete? Do I think they can win a playoff game in a VLA Cup Series tournament? No, probably not. But I think, I'd say that they also only have, I think, 10 guys? It's actually more than they usually have. They usually only bring 8.
Right. Another team that typically travels light, and now that they
yeah, come through. You're good.
Now that I think that they are taking this a little bit more seriously, it's not really about the boys going down to a tournament. I think that they're approaching this a little bit more like, hey, let's make something out of this. And also Donnie last year sprained ankle, had to play libero.
True,
the entire
yeah,
time.
he plays he's a 5'10" outside hitter who plays a lot and plays well. And the tall ones are a very hard team to play against because they never make errors.
Right.
You have to earn just about every point that you get against a team like that. They don't have that much firepower. Their offense isn't anything spectacular, but they won't give away very many points for free. So you can't be asleep and just expect to beat a team like that.
Right. And the other thing, too, is they play together a lot.
A lot.
They are their team. And you get a team with that much experience to just playing together. It makes them a dangerous team, and they have won matches. It's not like they've gone into these things and
they've
just
got
limped
points.
In. I mean,
yeah.
they've had really good runs even with the smaller roster. So again, it's going to be a tough pool with them playing playing Rising Tide first. Then you got Wave, you got Team 9. I mean, those are great teams that are going to play against these guys. But I mean, they're going to be competitive against all of them. And again, if you sleep on anyone in this tournament, you're probably going to lose.
You're probably going to lose. Yep, and that's the beauty of it. So that's all the teams. The format, again, is all on the website. 3 pools of 4, bracket pools, but all 4 teams will make it out into the bracket. We'll have 1 round of sort of that play-in round of bracket play tomorrow, Saturday afternoon, and then we'll pick back up with it on Sunday morning. The last thing I want to talk about is how you can watch and what our plan is to stream this thing. So if you're new to the VLA channel and you're new to a big tournament like this, for most of pool play, we're going to have 3 courts going on, and then once bracket starts, we're going to have 4 courts going on all at the same time. So every game will have its own dedicated match broadcast. Every game, no matter what, every game at every tournament will have its own match broadcast. But if you want to watch the dedicated stream for an individual match throughout the tournament, you're going to have to become a member of the YouTube channel, an all-access member for $1.99. We think that's a pretty good deal.
That $1.99 means the world to professional volleyball.
It means so much to the league. It does.
So we definitely recommend going out and watching your favorite matches. Also, just even if you're not into it and you just want to support the league a little bit, I mean, that really, really helps us. But again, you got full access. You got all the matches at your fingertips, and they're all there for you. So we really appreciate that contribution from the spectators.
Yeah, so that's huge. That's how you're going to be able to follow or watch every match individually. There's a link in the description to become a member, or you can, if you're on desktop, you can press the join button next to the subscribe button that you should have already pressed. And then the other thing that we do at these tournaments, which is really cool, is what we call the VLA all-day broadcast. And that we will start at 8 a.m. tomorrow. We will run it all the way through the last whistle of tomorrow and then pick back up again on Sunday. Just one continuous stream that goes all the way through. We're going to flip back and forth between all the different courts, and we're going to have – I'll be on the mic for some of it. I'm going to get a bunch of players on the mic just to tell some stories and talk about their teams and all that. It's going to run all the way through, and that one is available for everyone. So you don't have to pick up a membership if you want to watch the all-day broadcast.
You just have to listen to Rob the whole time.
You just have to listen to me the whole time, which, trust me, it's worth $2 to not have to do that. Vince's daughter is waving hi.
Oh, she's too shy. She didn't want to come on.
So the all-day broadcast will start tomorrow, first thing in the morning, and there will be a dedicated broadcast for every single one of the individual games. So that's how you can watch all of it right here on the YouTube channel. And again, the website is a massive resource. That's where you can find everything about the tournament, including live updated scores. So head over there, and you're already in the right place for where to watch.
All right. Yep. And shoot, I think that might,
right?
Yeah, that might wrap it up right there.
Cool.
So definitely tune in. First thing tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. Pacific time. We'll be here, San Diego Wave facility. It's beautiful. And
if you're in the area, come out, by the way.
Absolutely.
There's ticket information on the website. It's just $5 to get in at the door, or you can buy them beforehand. So come out and watch, or watch right here on YouTube. We'll see you guys tomorrow morning.
All right, sounds good. See you then.